to imagine. You walk into an emergency room, we wait not for hours, but for days, sometimes even weeks to be safe. The family standing right next to you has traveled from another country just to breathe. When you're finally taken back into the rhythm spread, you're laying to your bed and you're looking around. You notice that the walls and the floors are cracked, and they start aligning the edges. Then trying to take breathe and suffocating humidity. There is no air conditioning. The nasal cannula that is providing you oxygen is reused, and it's flowing from a large metal tank standing right next to you. There are no labs to check. There are no scans to read. And the ventilator that you desperately need to be put on is held together with tape and raised. Your healthcare worker has been up for days straight with just there is the home. It's just everyday call. Yeah. Hi, my name is Borman. I am a student respiratory therapist set to graduate this May with a Bachelor's of Science respiratory therapy. Last summer, I had the amazing opportunity to join Kansas State University Medical Center on a trip to Ghana to teach respiratory care, but more specifically, helping babies move. I thought I was going on this trip to teach, but what I learned instead was far more than wartime. That healthcare is defined not by what we have, but how we care. Tonight, I'm going to take you on a few moments that changed me and that have lessons that continue to guide me each day. But before I could understand those lessons, I first had a look at the lens in which I was taking the dawn with me. I was trained in a system where speed mattered, waves was normal, and answers come from a number on a screen. Bring something into a room, cut open, you go away. Work, trust, labs, and monitors more than conversations themselves. And if outputs aren't to become poor, it feels like failure. Because pride, ill, or system that wasn't it. When I walked into Ghana's healthcare system, I realized outputs are not guaranteed. And that everything I knew about healthcare was tested immediately. When we arrived in Ghana, we went to a small clinic fairly up. Couple rooms, few beds, and speedometer needle print. There's no electricity. There's one healthcare worker who is there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Lying. We bring supplies with us at every place we go. And in the clinics, we bring them up. Practice headland to over that she had send us with a anywhere. She the sweet spider, they lost the baby, their night stumble over it. There is no electricity, there is no light, there is no way to assess the newborn. The nearest hospital is hours away and the ambulance is a motorbike. If there simply had been light, the outcomes would have been different. And they think that lack of resources does not mean lack of responsibility. It means every decision we make is heavier. I realized how much heavier decisions they got. At the next facility, I realized what happened. You don't have diagnosis. I went on rounds with the only physician in a smaller hospital in Kumasi. Patient came in to 3, and the doctor began to treat them for a severe lung flare-on. The doctor turned to the nurses and me, began to give reports. At the end of his talk, he mentioned that the patient had been having severe diarrhea for several days. This was continuing to outbreak. Had breath sounds, no pulmonary history, no pulmonary testing. The patient was breathing fast, but it wasn't because his lungs were failing. It was because his body was compensating for something else. I asked the physician if this could be something medical. Pause, he agreed with me. But what he said next, I was not prepared for. You can only treat for what the family can afford. You do not have the scans or the tests that you are used to. You treat off of conversations, physical assessment, and symptoms. It's right. I have depended my whole life working on birds, and I have rarely been taught to train and treat without them. This moment changed the way I thought. So what happened next in the facility changed the way I acted. I continued with that position. We were called back down for emergency to the emergency room, which is about 10 beds across 2 weeks. There's a woman laying in the corner, motionless. The physician went to go find the family. Me and a few girls we were with asked the charge nurse if they could have a bag of elephants to get to breathe for this patient. It took 15-30 minutes to find the only one they had in the facility. When she brought it to us, we began to breathe for this patient, and it wasn't long before workers and students came to join us, not to help, but to learn. They took turns practicing, asking questions, learning how to save a life with their hands. It wasn't long when we were asked to stop. There are no intubation supplies. There are no ventilators. There is nothing else we could do with this patient. Really glad we had workers come to us, and as of next year, we could come back and teach basic life support. They were not asking for advanced technology or advanced treatments. They are asking this facility and this one, but how do you what happened? Don't have the equipment. But at the next facility, it showed me what happens when you have the equipment, but you not understand how you use it. I walked into this next facility, a large hospital in Massey, one of the largest hospitals like that in Florida. And I'm in the high security area in the emergency room. Right. There's one ventilator running, and it keeps alarming. The patient is clearly struggling. The alarms are loud and they are constant. And no one is going to help this patient. But it's not for recent days. It's not because they don't care. It's because they don't understand how to adjust a environment. I walked up to the physician in that area and I said, hey, can we put this patient together to make them just some people? He realized I was a respiratory therapist and he got so excited. He asked if I could take everyone in that room, all the workers, and teach them how to work this in shape, how to set settings, but learn to how it supports our breathing. I agreed, and we joined around this patient, made it comfortable first, and then together we went step by step. We were set up. We like what the settings do, how they support us, how we set them based on our patient population. We learned how the species supports us, how the alarms we can what them. Well, the supplies were limited, the equipment was boring. The most advanced tool in that room was not that. The most advanced tool was a shared understanding. Knowledge is more powerful than technology. Okay.
Ghana taught me that knowledge and attention can elevate even the most limited tools. But when I came home, I saw the opposite. That even the most advanced tools fail when the compassion and the attention are missing. I came home expecting to feel relief, comfort, familiarity, and instead I felt angry. I walked into a code blue and I took over on compressions. The team of RTs behind me prepared the breathing tube and there was a nurse bagging. In the middle of my compressions, I looked down at my patient's face and I realized there is not a mask on the back valve mask. That air is being squeezed into nothing. Nobody is breathing for my patient. The patient survived. I was furious. Everyone in that room is trained and certified in and basic life support. And all I could think about was being in Ghana, where the workers asked us to train them in basic life support. They had the compassion, they had the want to execute the skill. And here I am, standing in a room where we have the resources, we have the equipment, and we have the education, but we're still failing the basics. That was my lowest point emotionally, but it turned into something else, compassion. Staying longer into my patients' rooms, having longer conversations, talking to my patients even if they are fully sedated, wiping away their tears when they can, holding their hands when they are scared, when they are terrified, stopping rushing past things I was taught were not important. I realized care is not always clinical. Care comes from having a presence. Ghana showed me that healthcare doesn't come from medications or machines. Care comes from showing up, having love, having compassion, having intention towards your patients. Ghana didn't teach me how to practice healthcare without resources. It taught me how to practice medicine without excuses. When I came home, the real question was not what Ghana lacks, but it's what we overlook in our care. Better healthcare does not begin with better technology. Better healthcare begins with better intentions. In a country where healthcare workers have almost nothing, can provide compassionate, intentional care, and those of us with everything have no excuse not to do the same.